Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. Yom Shlishi Parshas Balak. Shnas Tov Shinayin Zayin Shiva Tiferes Avigdor. Today's shir is the subject of life-altering decisions. There are two kinds of decisions that we make in our life, or we face in our life. One is a temporary decision, and it doesn't necessarily have far-reaching consequences. But there are small consequences. And then there are life-altering decisions. Who should I marry? Should I go to work? Where shall I live? Those are decisions. What type of job should I get? When do I leave yeshiva? These are decisions that are life-altering decisions. Now, the obvious thing is when a person makes a big decision in his life, what should be the first thing that he does, Moshe? He should ask Daas Torah. Teshua b'roiv yoyetz. Should go to somebody who knows him, understands him, knows his life situation, and ask that question: should I go to? What should I do? Should I marry this person? Not marry the person? Should I go to work, go to learn, so on and so forth? The first thing that a person has to ask himself whenever he faces a decision is, what does Hashem want me to do in this situation? That's the first and foremost question. Does Hashem want me to marry this girl? Does Hashem want me to stay in yeshiva? Does Hashem want me to leave yeshiva? Does Hashem want me to live in this neighborhood in Makom Torah? Does Hashem want me to go out of town where there's cheaper housing maybe? Or maybe there's housing available? Or my wife is happier? Or my cat is happier? Whatever the guy has. Now the problem is, you have to study when somebody faces a life-altering decision in the Torah, how it goes down. Bilam is that example. He was offered an opportunity. He was a Navi. And he was a Navi that had big desires. He was a Navi who wanted to make it. He wanted to have a killing. And he was finally faced with an opportunity to take a job, so to speak, to do nothing but put a few curses on the Am Yisroel. And this was a tremendous thing. And we see HaKadosh Baruch Hu initially told him, don't go with these people. Don't take this job. Bad decision. And then afterwards Hashem tells him, you know what? Go with them. If they invite you, kum leichita. Now this is very important for us to study. You know why? Because Over here, a lot of times a person has a shaila, and he says, I'm going to go ask Daas Torah. But in his heart, he really decided already what he wants to do, and he's hoping that this Rav will tell him what he wants to hear. Why? Why does he do that? You know why? So that he's afterwards able to claim, I was mitzayetz with Daas Torah. I've seen this so many times. Somebody is coming to ask me, and I'm his Rebbe, I taught the guy Roiv Teirase that he knows. And then one day he makes a rash decision. I say, did you make a decision on your own? No, I was miyayetz with Daas Torah. I said, who? Another rabbi. I said, are you out of your mind? Why would you go to him and not go to me? Who knows you better, him or me? The answer is you went to him because you knew from me you weren't going to get the answer you wanted to hear. So you went to that guy and you could say, well, there's other Daas Torah, and I asked that fellow and I asked Daas Torah. So you have to know that when a person comes to a Rav, he really has to come b'tmimus. You know why? Because the Daas Torah this guy got is not Daas Torah, it's Daas Torah. It's the Das of an ox. Not because the Rav is bad, chas v'shalom. Because you're an ox. Because you're a behemoth. And you wanted to do what you wanted. You absolutely did not want to do what Hashem wanted. You came to the Rav and Hashem arranged for that Rav to tell you what you wanted to hear. But if a person comes to a Rav and he comes b'tmimus, he said, Hashem, I want the right answer. My Rebbe, I think I know the answer. I'm going to some other Rav. But I really want the right answer. So what happens? You're going to be zoichet to siyayter dishmaya miyuchedes, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will then put in the mouth of the Rav to tell you them. That's how Daas Torah works. Guy gets one Daas Torah, he goes to another Rav, gets another Daas Torah. He's not looking for Daas Torah. He's looking for Daas Atzma. It's a very important thing. And I told the guy, you went to a Rav and the Rav told you clearly you're wrong. That's what you mean, the Rav told me I'm right. I said, no. You went to that Rav because you wanted to hear you were right. So when that Rav told you were right, now you know for sure you're wrong. 100% you're wrong. Because he told you Daas Atzma. Your Daas Atzma is wrong. That's not Daas Torah. You should know when a guy comes to a Rav and he wants to hear a certain answer, it's Karev Levadai. That means Hashemayim, they're going to arrange that the guy should hear the tshuva he wants to hear. Because and this is exactly what happened by Bilam. Initially, Bilam said to the people when they invited him, I got to ask Hashem. I can't decide on my own. Such a venture, I'm a Navi, I'm tight with Hashem, I'm going to talk to Hashem about it. He says, Linu Poya Laila, stay the night. V'hashivoy seyeschem davar, I'm going to tell you the answer. Kasha yidaber Hashem ilay, I have to give in to Daas Torah. He said. And what did Hashem tell him the answer? Hashem, what did Elokim say to Bilam? Loi seilech imay. You want to know the emissaries? Don't go with them. But afterwards, when they came back in Nachamo, and Bilam wanted to go with them, he came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu a second time. No, can I go with them? Hashem said, you know what? You want to go with them? Okay, go with them. That's not my das, it's your das. Don't say afterwards that you miyayitz with Hashem and you accepted his das. It's your own das, it's your own thing. Here's a couple comes to me and he says to me, I want to send my child to a certain school. I said, what do you think the outlook, your hashkafa should be when you're choosing a school for your child? I said, they give me Baba Maisa's orderliness, cleanliness, organization. I said, don't you think that the most important thing is where is the best potential for your child to come out with the best chinuch, the most knowledge, the most hashkafas HaTorah and Yiras Hashem. Isn't that not the determining factor? I said, so what is your question? It's very obvious. Your shaila, A or B, which one? How do we know? I said, do you don't want to know, or you want to know how do you know? So they were kicking it around. I told them, you know the answer yourself. What are you asking me silly questions? They decided to go to a Rav. Now they're going to ask Das. The shock was, this Rav tells them like this: I can't tell you what to do, but there's no question that in school number A, the child will come out with more Yiras Shamayim and more Teredik Ashkafas. What do you think they chose? The other one. I said, are you Tipshim or you Behemoths? What are you? I said. I called this couple and I said, what is wrong with you? He said, the Rav said you can do whatever you want. I said, I didn't tell you what to do either. I just told you what the formula is. But the Rav told them clearly, A, this is the vegan produce, this is what you can expect from your kid. I said, if someday your kid turns out fried, I want you to know the kid's blood is on your hands. If your kid doesn't turn out good, it's all your fault from the beginning to the end. Don't ever think, don't come to me, don't come to other rabbanim for brachas. You were mekalo your own kid. That's your decision. You put your kids against them, they ask you. You knew that if I go to school A, I have a chance of being a bigger Ben Torah and a bigger Yishmael. Everybody told you that. Why did you choose? And what are you going to say? Because your mother thought that cleanliness and derech eretz and being nice is the way to go. Yep. It's the same thing with going to work. Now I want you to know, going to work is not a bad thing. Hashem intends for most people to work. Does he expect most people to work in accounting? Does he expect most people to work in computers? No. People can work in accounting, in computers, giving haircuts. People could do real estate. People could, the kfira could be a rebbe, it could be whatever you want. The big problem is that most people, when they decide to go to work, they're not questioning whether I should go to work or not. You know what they want to do? A lot of times, I want to make money. I need money. And they believe that the only way you make money is by going to work. That's kfir. You have to know that's nonsense. Money is decided. If you think that a guy who learns in yeshiva at the end of the year really did not get the money that Hashem was maktsiv for him at the beginning of the year, you're out of your mind. You're wrong. I don't care what your mother said. I don't care what your outlaw said. I don't care what they said. It doesn't make no difference to me. For Rosh Hashanah, your moyes and mezainis is ktsuvim loy. And it doesn't help what job you're going to have and what you're not going to do. The reason why a person goes to work, is supposed to go to work, because he feels that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants him to do. Now, why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu want him to do that? Number of reasons. First, he demonstrated that he can't develop an interest in Torah. I know a lot of people have no interest in Torah. So then, you know what happens when you lose interest in Torah? You stop learning. You stop learning. The Torah says you have batol on your hands. It's going to be maybe l'dei shiamum and l'dei zima. So if you work, it's mishkachas avin. It leads to sin. So if you're not learning, because you don't want to interest, I can't tell the guy, get an interest in learning. I'm not interested in learning. Okay, then you definitely must go to work. What should you do? Any hard labor would be wonderful. Really, hard labor would be wonderful. Do amal. Keep yourself busy. Keep yourself away from sins. But everybody, hachnachas that everybody has is, I got to make money. That's my point. You can't determine you're going to make money. Money, decision how much money you're going to earn, it comes from Hashem. So a person has to know is that you go to work because that's the ratzon of Hashem. You feel you're doing the ratzon of Hashem to go to work. Then you have to go to work. Now let's say a wife says to her husband, I can't support you anymore. I want you to go to work. That husband has to go to work. But what if a wife says to her husband as follows, I want you to go to work, not because I need money, but I need extra security. Are you going to stop working if I go to work? No. I don't like to be home with the kids. I'm a working type. I don't want to stop working. But I want you to stop learning. For what? Because I'm the type that needs extra security to buy extra things in case I'm going to need it someday. That's a test from Hashem if you should go to work. That's not Hashem saying go to work. I told the wife, all you have to say is, I want you to go to work so that I can stay home and be a stay-at-home mom. I don't want to sacrifice anymore. And the lady says to me, absolutely not. I said, you crazy? Just say those words and your husband will go to work. No, I'm not saying that. I said, okay. So now I can't say what you want to say. You know what I mean? I can't say what you want me to say. What can I do? That's what a person has to realize. You don't go to work to make parnasa. Now, you know what happens? I'll tell you what happens. There are a lot of people who at one point their lives get difficult and they're challenged with parnasa. And they want to know what to do. So they decide, I'm going to be a nice man, I'm going to go to work. Many years ago, in Yeshiva tells there was a young man who was Moishe Nefesh to learn. He had a wife that said, Dekis, She'en Kemoiseh. I still am in awe of her. She had nothing, they had no money. I used to tell the guy, maybe you get a job. He said, my wife wouldn't have me get a job. She said, if you get a job, I'm divorcing you. She said, I don't want to live with a husband that's not going to learn. I said, no kidding. She said, she buys clothes in garage sales. I said, you're kidding, really? And she's happy. He said, it eats me up alive. And he wanted to go to work. I said, I got to tell you something. If your wife doesn't want you to go to work, you can't go to work. Hashem doesn't want you to. I was going to work. Usually a wife wants her husband to go to work. Your wife said, I want you to sit in steig. And the guy was steig, and it bothered him, but he was an emes guy. He wanted to learn. He really wanted to learn. The guy was an emes, a serious guy learning. And he learned. And then eventually, Hashem benched him. Baruch Hashem. Before he made the mistake, went away from Torah, Hashem benched him. He had a relative who sold the house, and he made something like $40 million on the house. And because of taxes, it wasn't a house, it was a big house, it was an apartment house. He had in the family like 50 years, and it went up, you know what I mean, who knows what. And he Pasha had to look to give the money away, to push it, just not to give it to the U.S. government. He called him up, he said, I got a couple of mil for you, why don't you? He said, can I go to Eretz Yisrael? He said, go wherever you want. The guy picked himself up, he moved to Eretz Yisrael, he bought a whole floor of apartments. Mamish. Guy went from living in a little Sekrachan apartment in Tremaine. Now the guy living in living a Rebbe, he can do what he wants. He went to a Shiva, so I want to be a Rebbe. So we can't pay, I don't need Parnasa. I could be a Rebbe, and became a Rebbe. He's still the Rebbe. A person makes a decision, he thinks he's in control. He's not in control. You know how many people are looking for jobs and they can't find a job? And what is Hashem telling you? Do you think I want you to work and I'm teasing you, I'm not giving you a job? You can't create a job. Hashem gives you a job. If Hashem didn't give a job, that's Hashem telling you, Loi Seilech. But what do you say? Too bad, Hashem. I'm going to make another phone call. I'm going to try something else. I'm going to look and make up an excuse why this job doesn't fit. I'm too thin. Maybe I'm too heavy. Maybe I'm too short. Maybe it's my beard. Maybe it's my tzitzis. Maybe it's my yarmulke. Maybe I don't have enough here. Maybe I have too much here. Everybody comes up with nonsense. And then you find some schlepper, and the guy decides he's good at computers. And the guy, was reading about him recently, a young man in Lakewood who loves to learn. And he helped somebody out in computers. And the next thing you know, he has one of the biggest companies, fastest growing company in the whole America, or if not the whole world. And the guy says, "Ich bin garnished." He's a schlepper, he's like a regular yeshivish guy, and he gives everybody parnasa, and he gives tzedakah, and he's a mamish, unbelievable. He said he never went to college, he never went to school, he never went to this. I've watched people go to this school and that school. I knew a Talmud from here who waited years to finally say, "Okay, now I'm going to go to school." It was the funniest thing because this Talmud, he was in here in Tells. His father wanted him to go to Yisroel, go to a Jewish college to get a degree, b'chol leiv, and then he could sit and learn. He knows he has a degree in his pocket. I told the father, it's a mistake taking him out of yeshiva. And we wrote a letter to Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky with all the details. Rabbi Chaim told him not to go, and Rabbi Chaim told him Hashem's going to take care of him. The guy learned for a number of years, then decided he's going to go into the medical profession. His first job fell through, his second job fell through. So many jobs fell through, it took him like 10 years. He could have been the biggest doctor in the world to get a pashta job. That's how it is. And he doesn't make more parnasa than he's supposed to make. That's what you make. Now, if a person decides that Hashem wants him to go, so he first is Messiahs. That's the first thing. Listen to what the first Rav tells you to do. The guy who knows you the best. If he tells you, Oloi Teilech, you're stuck. Now you want to fight it. You want to fight with Hashgacha, Hashem? Go ahead, fight with Hashem. Now try your own thing. Maybe you'll be zeichet to Bilam's bracha of B'derech she'adam roitze leilech v'lichan say. And then Hashem's going to tell you later on, you made the mistake of your lifetime. Now, let's say the person, it was a Messiah, they tell him, it's good, it's time for you to go. Whatever the reason the Rav said, the Rav might say go because you're not learning a word anyway. So if you're not learning a word, all you're going to do is sins, so go to work. Sometimes the Rav will tell you, you're learning good. Guy said, but I can't make it. Happy tough. Happy tough. Does your wife want you to go to work? No. Your wife wants you to go to work? Then maybe you should go to work. If your wife says, I want to be home and be a mother, and so then that's your lot in life. And you got to start, you look for a job. Now the question is, what should a guy do? When a guy wants to get a job, what should a guy do? First of all, don't ask Amiratzim for aces. Because they're going to give you such garbage aces that cost you a ton of money, and it's going to get you in big pickles, you're not going to matzliach. The first thing you have to figure out is, what are you built for? What are you capable of doing? You're capable of building, you're capable of buying and selling. What are you capable of doing? Figure out. You're capable for, maybe the guy's not. It's only capable for accounting, for bookkeeping, for a CPA, something like that. Figure out what your capabilities are. If you're good at something, you don't have to get a degree. You could get a degree, but if a person thinks that if you get a degree, you get a better parnasa, that's kfira. That's mamish nonsense. A person has to know when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to want to give you parnasa. See, the problem is, what if a guy is going to work not for parnasa? That's the biggest problem. Let's say a guy doesn't need parnasa. He's not hungry. He's not missing anything. He has cars. His payments are made. He has a home. His kids are in school. His kids have clothes. So if he wants to go to work just for working's sake, so then he could, but he has to wait for Hashem to deliver him something. Hashem has to give. If Hashem doesn't give him anything in the hand, he just has to sit patiently and wait his turn for Hashem to knock on the door. You running around like a chicken without a head, does do nothing. It's marchik, the parnasa from you. A person has to definitely make the honest decision. Now, let's say a person made an honest decision and they told him to go to work. And then he figured out, a lot of people don't figure out, know what happened. I ask as many people, what do you want to work at? I don't know, I just want to make money. I gotta make money. That's all they say, I gotta make money. You know? I told him, but if you're not made up for, you're not built for something, you know, you can make money from anything. There are people today if you looked around about how Younger Light make money, it was unbelievable. Here's a fellow who calls me up. He's a young man who went into work. He didn't want to go to work. He was told to go to work, and he went to work. And the guy told him, work for me for a few months. And if you do, I had no experience. The guy came straight off from the Gemara. I had no schooling. He said, work for me for 3 months. If you're good, I'm going to give you a good salary. He worked for the guy for 3 months, and the guy tripled his salary. The guy, the guys are making money like most guys are making. And I'm pushing a young guy. I have no experience. Only one problem. I traveled to work a couple of hours. 2.5 hours to work. It's a terrible job. And he can't go on a bus because he doesn't go in the same direction as everybody else. He goes to a different state, another direction. So I told him, you know, you're a blessed man, but you're a fool. You're a blessed fool. I said, when Hashem told you that you're going to, at the end of 3 months, when you heard that Hashem said, I'm going to up your salary now to a very, very respectable that you never dreamed of making. You know what you should have said? Thank you, Hashem. And at that point, what you should have said is, I don't need to travel 2.5 hours to get that job. Just like Hashem gave me this job out of nowhere for 2.5. I don't have to travel 2.5 hours. That was in His sight. You fell into the trap and you decided it's not Hashem giving you that parnasa. You're getting the parnasa. This guy is giving you parnasa, and he's only giving you this tonight, so you can't get it. Then the other life. Once you know, most people don't know what the number they're going to make in a year is. I mean, don't know what they're going to make at the end of the year. Only at the end of the year do you know retroactively what you're going to earn. But I said to this guy, you know what you're going to earn. Hashem tells you up front, I'm going to give you X amount of dollars. Person has to understand. Now let's say a guy has to go to work and he can't find a job. Hashem's putting him in a pickle. He's knocking on doors. Every day goes to shul. He's depressed. He schleps around. He has this guy. He has that guy. Can you help me for a job? He networks. Every time networks, he goes to this organization. Now he takes classes and how to find a job. He even learns how to use a computer. They have people how to use a computer. Oh, you got to find a computer. Oh, you have to have a course. Courses. Oh, listen. And you ever seen these Chassidish guys? If you go to Williamsburg, I was once invited to Williamsburg. They have a big business building over there. They had a dinner for the Satna Koidel. And I came there. I was the guest speaker there. And I remember was blown away. They had a building there. It was like a beautiful building. Everybody in that building was only Hasidim. 3/4 of them didn't talk great English. They all talked for their business. They were in high-tech businesses, insurance, real estate, buying something from overseas, international trading. I mean, this is not stam. They weren't selling shmatas and knishes. I'm not talking about a guy carrying around his back and pop pizza pies, Mr. Pizza Pie. You know, I'm not talking about that. I mean, people are making big businesses. To get to this dinner, you had to give a mayontik of money to get invited to this dinner. And it's only by exclusive invitation. And everyone, the Rosh Hashanah told me, every one of these guys, they're all yoelis, he said. They're all a bunch of yoelis. I said, what's that? He said, they all were born right after the HaRav died. They're about 35 years old. And they all made it, became multi-millionaires. So they're all yoelis. And that was his name, Yael. So he said, these yoelis, what you call them? What does that prove? Know what that proves to me? That all this nonsense with courses and lukshin, now they're trying to sell. I see to the Chassidim, they're trying to sell them the courses also. I hear in Kol Mavasser, they try to say, "Did this machen besser geld? Did this machen mehr geld? You want to have better communication skills? You just learn the language." The guy tells them, "Just learn the language." I don't learn the language. And I just try to tell you, I said, they're doing God's good on their own, these guys. Now, if you're benched, you're going to have parnasa. If you're not going to bench, you're not going to have parnasa. It doesn't make a difference. You can't create parnasa for yourself. It's not shy for bench. Now, if a person is in the job market and he is making money, then he has to understand. See, if he believes that my job that I'm in can't make more than a certain amount of money, it'll never make a certain amount of money. He has to say, I'm doing this job, that's what Hashem wants me to do. And in which Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bench me with parnasa, and he say, Hashem, give me the parnasa that I need. Not because I'm working, not because I'm not working. No shaykhs to that. Now the way to get Hashem to give you better parnasa is to start undertaking projects where you're merachim on others. Whenever you're merachim on others, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is merachim on you. Another major thing, avoid machlokes. People get into businesses, they become animals. They believe machlokes, it's a rat race. It's dog eat dog. You got to cannibalize your competition. You cannibalize them, you're about machlokes, you're not going to be matzliach. And if it looks like you are matzliach, like Kairach, eventually you're going to get swallowed up in the ground and you're going to disappear. And the third thing you should do is, you should encourage and be machazik your tefillah. Don't compromise on your yadus. It doesn't make any sense for a person to compromise on his Yiddishkeit to go to work and to imagine that's the Ratzon Hashem. When a guy compromises on his Yiddishkeit and he goes to work, it's a clear indication that the fellow is not going to work because of Ratzon Hashem. It's like those fellows who went to work on Shabbos because they felt they had to have parnasa. They were challenged. Now, if a person trusts that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that brings you deals, brings you jobs, brings you sales, brings you opportunities, if you believe that, then instead of going into shul or calling your friends, like your wife says, call your friends and ask your friends, what do you say? You got anything for me? You heard anything from me? And you become a nudge and a neg and a schlepper and a nebuch. What you do is turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, help me. And because somebody else made money in real estate doesn't mean you can make money in real estate. Because that guy making money selling cars doesn't mean you can make money selling cars. I know many people who made money selling cars, and I know many people who could make money selling cars. Even though they understood the market and they had the right market, Hashem took them out of business. So Hashem wanted to happen. That's what happened. You have to build your relationship with Hashem and understand. Now sometimes a person is in a pickle. I say, you have no choice. Don't lose yourself. Just trust Hashem that if you're supposed to go to work, He will find you a job. And if not, you have no choice. You can bellyache to your mommy, you can bellyache to your tati, you can bellyache to your in-laws, you can bellyache, your in-laws could say, no, do this, do that. What kind of? I was recently speaking to some outlaws. They told me they want their son-in-law to go check the job market. Let him check the job market, let him see, let him get back into the job market because he has a degree, and his degree doesn't get old. Go into the job market, and if he sees he's successful, then he can quit and go back to learning. I said, do you believe that I'm that stupid? Or do you believe your son-in-law is that stupid? I mean, you ever heard of a guy going into the job market, finding a job, getting settled, and then say, okay, now I'm quitting, go back to learning. Just to show his wife that he can get a job. Does that make sense? Of course it makes no sense. But I understand people are desperate, so I'm listening, I listen, and I say, yes, 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 I understand, but it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. I said, God, you got to give me something that makes sense. And you see people who find houses. You see people who have no money and they find houses. Hashem has so many ways of giving people homes and providing them with homes. A lot of times people make a mistake and they think they have to steal and they have to cheat, or if they have to take something that's not theirs. It's not your house, it's not yours, it's supposed to be for you. Let it go. Don't get into something you can't afford. Guy calls me from Lakewood. He's paying the house $650,000. I said, $650,000? Your mortgage has got to be a few grand a month. He says, it is. So how do you make ends meet? He says, I don't. He said, I'm borrowing. I said, that's what Hashem wanted. He said, oh, such a nice house. We both loved it. We fell in love with it. It's new, it's clean. We saw the opportunity. There was another guy who called me from Lakewood. He needed a house. He was married for 18 years. Wanted to buy a house. Told him, that's normal. You can go buy a house. He said, but I can't afford it. I said, what can you afford? I'm not, if I use my parnasa to buy the house and pay for the mortgage, what if I have extra expenses in the future? How am I going to pay for that? Like bar mitzvahs or chasanas. I told my friend, right now you need a house. Move into the house. Thank Hashem if Hashem gives you a house. And that's what it's like. And one day I'm in the shul in Lakewood. A while later, and the guy said, "You sure?" And he called me 25 times. The guy, I didn't know who he was. I told him, "Buy the house. If it's for you, it'll go through. Don't do any extra ishtadlus to push, to pull. Just say, if it's my house, Hashem, help it go." And it went. One day I'm in shul. I walked out of the shul, and I heard somebody running behind me. Turned around, I thought he was running past me. I turned around, he stopped by me. He said, "I'm looking for you. You're Yisroel, right?" He said, "Yeah. I want to show you something. Come here. I want to show you the house you got me." We walk around the corner. I said, "See this house?" I said, "It's quite a nice house." I said, "That's the house you got me." I said, "And by the way, what happened with your daughter when she had to go to seminary?" He says, "It worked out. It worked out." I said, "Isn't that a mess?" I said, "I didn't get you this house. Hashem got you the house. I want you to know this. Hashem got you the house. And you can get everything you like." It seems it's amazing, but I was like a block. I would never have done it. That's how people are. They don't live with Hashem. To live in a frum neighborhood, in a yeshivish neighborhood, and live like an absolute guy, like there's no Hashem. You don't have to steal money. You don't have to lie. You don't have to cheat. People get that desperate. I don't blame people. They're desperate people. They say, how can I ever make it if I don't cheat? How can I make it if I don't steal? And don't think everybody would do it, but people either are afraid or they don't see the opportunity to steal. That's all. But a person has to trust in Hashem, a person has to believe in Hashem, and a person has to know that ultimately. Now I want to tell you one last Gemara. There's a Nerdike Gemara about a story about two Rabbanim, great Rabbanim, who decided they were desperate. They were poor like the church mice. And they decided that we're going to go to work. Ilfa and Rabbi Yochanan. They were learning Torah, and when they learned Torah like nobody's business. They were moiser nefesh for limud Torah. And the Gemara says, "D'chika li milsa tuva," not like today. Today we say it's "D'chika li milsa tuva." It means I can't go to Yisroel once a year. I can't have 3 cars. I only have 2 cars. Or I have this problem, that problem. I can't have steaks every night of the week. D'chika li tuva means to say they had aniyus that was not normal aniyus. Not a regular aniyus. So they made up and they said, "You know what? Let's get up. Let's go do panos. Let's do panos. Maybe that's what Hashem wants us to do." So they went to look for panos, and they sat down by a fence, by a wall that was a weak wall, and they sat down to eat. They were eating some bread. All of a sudden, they heard 2 malachim came behind the wall, and Rabbi Yochanan heard one of the malachim say to the other guy, "You know what? Let's go push this wall on top of these 2 guys." Why? Because they meniach chay olam haba v'oiskim b'chay yisho. Can you imagine that? I mean, here these greatest gedolim, they made a mistake. And they went. They thought they were doing the Ratzon Hashem 100%. They didn't decide they want to work. They thought they were doing the Ratzon Hashem, and Hashem gave them a message. Know what the message was? You're doing the wrong thing. Mesiras nefesh is the name of the game. So Yochanan turned still and he says, "Did you just hear something?" I didn't hear nothing. So Yochanan said, "I heard something." He didn't hear it. Know what it must be? The message is for me. Now, the other malach, they handled it, they knocked the wall down. The other malach says, these guys are going to be great gedolim. You know what I mean? One of them is going to be a great Adam Gadol. You can't throw the wall down on him. Yochanan heard, Ilfa didn't hear. Yochanan said, "Hashem, I got the message. Could you blame him for trying to go to work? No. I don't blame somebody looking for a job. You can't find a job. Can't find a Rebbe job. It's not good for that job. So he's forced to live on bitachon. That's what you have to accept reality. You know how many wives I've spoken to over the years and they think that their husbands, the second name of their husband is cash machine. I told them, you lucked out. You have bad luck. Your husband wasn't Mr. So-and-so. Your husband, you didn't make, it was to marry a man that's going to be a rich man. So what? Most people don't marry rich. But I had a dream. I always expected to live. I know a girl, Mamash, she told me I lived poor as a youth, and I'm telling you, I made my mind up. I'm never living poor again. I'm going to live now, buy whatever I want. I didn't have when I was a child. I felt deprived. I was friends with rich kids. Give me all these tissues. She was crying. I was trying to control myself. But I said, what do you... I said, I feel bad for you, but you can't decide what your future is going to be. She married a husband who she thought was going to be a cash cow. He turned out to be a cow without the cash. That's all. He was a bull. That means you're waiting under with a pail, under the bull all your life, and no milk coming out. It doesn't produce milk. Bulls don't produce milk. I said to her, and she was so angry. She was with me years later. At first she was happy because her husband had some parnassa. That husband lost his job, and this guy, this one bed, and this one bed. They're living in debt over the years, and she's still having her slug. I'm going to live big. I said, you better stop. Change your niggin. I told her, get therapy. You got to get help because you're going to be mental. You're going to drive yourself nuts. That's what's going to happen. No. Rabbi Yochanan went back. He became Rosh Yeshiva. That's what happened. Hashem gives him messages. Hashem gives everybody messages. You got to decide if you want to take those messages.